Howdy ho, good neighbors. What's going on? It's Phil Russert. Another Tuesday. Hope everybody's weekend was great. Hope we get through this week in one piece. Excited about tonight's guest. Really nice guy that I've gotten to know with plenty of conversations through starting up distribution. It's one of the things I like about being a small distributor is it's more intimate, where you get to know the people you're working with. They're not just another number on a conveyor belt. They're not just another company that I'm shuffling through to get money off of, but they're people that I'm investing in and are investing in me, and we're building relationships together. And that's really what I love about the community. And that's what I think helps us get stronger. You know, we're building each other up, working together, and again, meeting some really nice people like my guest tonight, who has been pretty cool with listening to me vent once in a while. But anyway, he's probably the yin to my yang. He's very laid back, very relaxed, reasonable guy, where I'm the hothead Irishman. So I think we complement each other. Anyway, without further ado, we're Philviews, and we go over solicitations in the catalogs every week with a different publisher. And tonight's publisher is 10 Ton Press, and our guest is John Hageman.
What's up, Phil?
How's it going?
It's going. How are you?
Hanging in there. We're both arms and legs.
I'm coming to you from 3 hours in your past.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's 5 a.m. It's 5 p.m. here.
Oh, okay.
Remember 5 p.m.?
That's right. You're on the. Oh, I forgot you're on the West Coast. Okay. So, thanks for coming on. And,
thanks for having me, Phil.
Yeah, we've talked quite a bit recently in the last several months, and I knew about 10 Ton Press, of course. I've seen them before, but I didn't know you.
Mm-hmm.
So give us a little background on where you came up with the name and how 10 Ton Press formed. Like, how did it start?
So I want to say about 2013, I started to. I have a mentor. You mentioned I'm laid back. I had a lot of training with hot-headed Irishmen. Mel Smith, who had a publishing company called Acme Inc. We met in about, I would say, 2012, 2013, over it's like a little horror host show in the Bay Area called Creepy Coffee Movie Time. And he was putting out a comic book for that. And then him, myself, and Manuel Martinez, another artist, we just started doing shows together. He would give us table space. We kind of learned how to, we cut our teeth learning from Mel and Lazy Bones, Ken Thomas, another one of our illustrious mentors. But we just learned how to like vibe at the shows, talk to people, how to feng shui our booth. Those guys are masters at using every single inch of space at their booth. And so at some point he came into some money, and we decided to reorganize Acme Inc. into 10 Ton Press. I don't know where he came up with that name.
I like it though.
It rolls off the tongue, but I think he did it because it's a number.
And it gets you up at the top.
There you go.
Smart.
Mel's good for stuff like that. But yeah, then I can't remember when we formed. I think it was like 2017 or 2018. But since 2015, I had been working with him on these rock and roll biographies. We'd been putting those out for at least 10 years, and we just been rolling with those. So that's kind of the origin of 10 Ton Press. And we always refer to Manuel as our sex appeal. He's a fantastically talented artist. He does a lot of commissions and stuff at our booth. He's starting to get his sequential work going. But yeah, we're kind of like this one-stop shop. We're like a mighty boosh when we're at cons. We have a little of everything.
Very cool. Yeah, you brought up learning the ropes, and I have to be honest with you. There's a lot of people today that they're looking to get into distribution with myself or do other things, and they don't know the business. They don't know anything about it yet. And, I take the time to explain some things to them because they're just, maybe not ready for distribution yet. But I highly recommend any publisher, any creator, or whatever artist, whatever, you learn and understand the industry from many different facets. It's different, whether it's the terminology, the unwritten rules. Those are the things that get you in trouble, right? When you don't know the unwritten rules kind of things. How things work, I think that's the key to success is you really have to understand how to navigate the landscape before you can go out
And
and
it took me a while. It took me a long time of asking Mel a ton of questions, because even though like once I got it, it seemed simple. It's like, wait, how does that work? Why does it that what? And like over time, he had a health issue during COVID, and it wasn't COVID. He actually had a heart attack, and so that's when I started
Ooh,
taking over and having to deal with like Diamond myself. And so it's daunting. It's a lot of work. You have to wear a lot of hats, and it can feel tedious. And I'm an artist. I didn't get into this to like fill out forms and stuff like that for a
those
distributor.
data sheets. Yeah,
Right. And they're not user friendly. You know what I mean? When
I
Diamond
know.
sends stuff, it just looks like somebody had typed it on their phone and sent it to you. I mean, it's a lot of.
Ours are just as bad, or
No, I haven't got one yet. Like I'm still waiting. Right, like our first one is due at the end of this month. But
no. But you're in our catalog, so you filled out
yeah,
two
yeah, yeah,
data
yeah,
sheets.
yeah. So once you get a hang of it, once you get through
Right.
that, it's really really easy. And we always try, like when somebody comes to our booth and asks us a bunch of questions, we're like an open book, because the more people understand and know, we just feel the industry as a whole just gets better. It's
Sure.
like a rising tide raises all ships. That's our attitude. We're not. I kind of feel like sometimes it's like a sporting event
Yeah.
when it's not. This is art. You know what I
It's more
mean?
like
This
a
is
gladiatorial event.
right. It's like I'm not gonna slit your throat. I swear to God.
Yeah.
But we,
Well,
like, and
you've
there's.
seen firsthand how gladiatorial it can
Yeah,
be.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And like we keep it chill, and it served us well. I think the way Manuel and I kind of tag team our booth. Mel, as years have gone on, Mel's kind of stepped back further and further, but his presence is always there,
Right.
because it's like he was like, oh, I feel bad, I'm not doing it anymore. What are you talking about? Like, we're there, like we are representing the vibe that you created. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
the perfect example is the we have the sign that he made. It says free shrugs on it. It's on this like little crappy piece of like green paper, but it gets a reaction every single time we put it on the thing. And so it's like, oh, cool. Scanned it. So if I need to recreate it anytime I need to, I can. We put it on hats, t-shirts, whatever. It's just it's like a little thing that you do to kind of connect with people at shows.
Interact. Yeah.
Yeah, and create an interaction. And that's hard to do, because I'm an introvert. Like you mentioned, you're like, it took me a long time to kind of maintain my own Irish blood, so to speak. But once you can get into that groove and get into the headspace of like, okay, this is cool, then it's just a matter of like, okay, we just got to put out books.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, right? We're creators and we just want to do the books, but you have the business side, you have the
Yeah.
marketing side. That's all tedious, and we don't want to do that, and it takes up a lot of time, and it can kill the creator spirit. So it's really hard to juggle both and
Mm-hmm.
balance them out. Plus, if you have a day job, so
Yes.
it's uh it's definitely a balance. I was working right up until we went live, and then I'm going to go back to work after this, and then I've
I
got
know that pain,
distribution,
Phil.
publishing work. Yeah, so and that's what I try to tell people when it comes to indie is I understand that some indie maybe it's just not there yet, but a lot of it is now, and we do it out of passion.
Mm-hmm.
We're busting our asses at 3 a.m. when we get work the next day because we just love this, and
Yeah.
what better person to root for? What better person to support? Absolutely. So we were talking about gladiatorial events before, and that is a good segue into the first solicitation that you have in our book, in our distribution, Savage, Volume One. It's a 50-page book, and I want you to get into this. Tell us about Savage and why somebody wants to buy this book and what they can expect.
So this is a cool, like, we're talking about the business aspect of stuff and the fact that you got day jobs and all that stuff. Here's another suggestion for people too: aggregate where you can, right? So like I'm dealing with you, the distributor, right? And so this book right here, Savage, is an example of, it's by Studio Solaris, which is another kind of small publisher. They had this book funded, but they didn't have presence in shops. And so Greg Boucher, the creator, approached us, and we've been working with Greg on a number of different projects, and so this is his baby. So he's got many more volumes, like at least 5 volumes of this. It's really cool. He went back and even fixed some stuff too, because he's like, oh, okay, cool. We're going to distribute this to shops, so he went and fixed it, dressed it up nice. It's a story about gladiator. It's kind of like a Spartacus story, right? Where it's like a gladiator that's like a slave, and he's just doing, he's fighting to free people and that type of stuff. It's just a really cool series. I love the fact that Greg was like, oh, it's not ready yet, and he went back and like added some stuff. So he's really, really psyched about this book. And then he has another book too that I think is in this first solicitation. The other one, which is, I think, Detonation Boulevard is in there. Yep, there it is. So that one's kind of cool. It has like a neon. He's going for like a neon kind of cyberpunk vibe with that one. We went back and forth. That's the other thing too. Like these logos. I need to give a shout out to Kirk Vizzola. He's kind of our resident graphic designer. I do graphic design myself, but I'm nowhere near like Kirk's skill level. So when it comes to like these logos and how we make our books look, I'm not afraid to like ask for help. And Kirk's like an enthusiastic contributor. We go to Kirk for like logo design, Matt Ritchie for like corner boxes. He's like this huge project that he's doing on Instagram for corner boxes art.
Cool.
So anything we could do to like dress these books up and make them look as like spiffy and professional as we can. But this book looks kind of cool. It's kind of got like a Tron vibe on the inside. It's mostly black and white, and he's got like different colors for different characters. So
it's futuristic, dealing with cyborgs.
It's like
gene modification. And gangs.
Yeah, very cyberpunk for this one.
So, I mean, we'll go back to this for a minute. Savage, fans of what would really like Savage, would you say?
Like Conan the Barbarian, that kind of old school, like black and white.
Yeah, hang on, let me give you the... Cool.
Yeah, it's just very much just like a full-on drag-out gladiator, been freed, and he's gonna, take it to the enslavers and whatnot.
Very cool.
Yeah, the art just gets better too as it goes on. So
that's 50 pages?
Yeah, this one's 50 pages.
Very cool. And it's rated teen, right? So teens and up can...
Yeah. There's nothing too terribly graphic in there. I mean, there's like, blood spatter, but in black and white, it doesn't really register as violent as it would be in color.
And with Detonation Boulevard, fans of what would you say would enjoy this?
I would say like Tron, Cyberpunk, the video game, Blade Runner, that type of stuff.
Cool. Johnny Mnemonic.
There's another good one. God, I haven't thought about that movie in a while.
Yeah. Very cool. Can't go wrong with Keanu Reeves.
Nope.
Very cool. And you were with Diamond for a while, and you've been successfully going into shops and doing things. So I know it's a bit of adjustment coming to me, being that I'm a new startup, but it's always nice to be working with people who know what to do, and you're just doing it, and boom, and everything goes smooth. So so far, I think it's been good. Now we just we're ready to fulfill the first catalog. We have the second one coming up to its FOC, so we're probably going to get a big influx of orders in this last week. As it's a long FOC, so we tend to get them at the end. So we're excited about that, and then we'll be getting these books out. They will be going out in what was this? This was August, so they'll be out in November.
Yeah,
very cool. And then of course we have the other catalog where we have, and this is cool. As a fan of Slayer and Iron Maiden. So tell us about, you were talking about before how you have your rock band series and
metal. So I kind of got grandfathered into the Diamond account. Mel had it since the late 80s, early 90s. So he'd been maintaining it. with the rock comics, it's kind of cool. Like, this is the business part too, where you would kind of get a print run going where you would pay for it. Like, the print run, the cost of the print would be covered by what you sold to Diamond. So that allowed us to buy more books so that we had stuff for shows. And then we like to give some to the creators so that they have books that they can sell at their booths and stuff like that. So that's been our formula with these rock books. The rock books have kind of been our bread and butter. And then until like 2023, then we kind of decided to do some creator owned stuff. So with the rock book specifically, we'd get some and then we'd sell out. So Slayer and Iron Maiden are perfect examples where we had sold out of because it's black and white interiors. So then we went and colorized the interiors and resolicited them in full color.
Very cool.
So my strategy with you is because with Diamond it takes a steep decline because of the fact that they had a monopoly on the market. So there's quite a bit of stock left over. So I'm resoliciting this stock in case the shops that are willing to buy from you hadn't seen these books, or oh cool, now I can get more of these books. That's my hope, to kind of build momentum.
Oh, Jeff Isherwood, great artist.
Yes,
I love his work. He worked on he did Namor and Doctor Strange, and I have him on one of my jams in the background.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's
and
cool.
Victor Moya, great guy, another
Vic
great
Moya,
artist.
I would say Matt Eggstein and Vic Moya have done a great deal of our rock books, and I would absolutely credit both of them for the majority of the success that we have with those books, because the art is impeccable in there. In fact, hold on, let me see.
Victor's a great artist and a great inker, and he's also a fellow drummer. So
yes, he's looped into all that stuff. But I'll just give you some pages for this Slayer book.
And man, look at that. And it looks great in color.
Yeah, Seb Valencia is our colorist. He's colored a number of our books. And these guys are all just passionate about these bands and like the music and stuff like that. And then, the one book. So we started the little piece of history on these rock books. We started doing these, or Mel started doing these, because rock and roll revolutionary comics back in the 80s and 90s did these rock and roll comics. And Todd Loren, the publisher, was killed. Basically, it's a huge deal. There's like a documentary about this publisher and stuff like that. And so they stopped doing these books, and Mel's idea was to pick up where they left off. And a couple of people like Spike Steffenhagen and J. Allen Stanford have done, like J. Allen Stanford wrote the Spinal Tap book for us. And it's kind of cool because Spinal Tap saw some of the stuff he wrote in this book, and they paid him for some of the bits in this book.
Oh, cool.
And supposedly some of those things that he wrote in this book are in the new movie that's out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. He posted about it. It's like, oh, cool. I didn't know that. But and then Spike has written a number of books for us. Really cool dudes, and it's really kind of cool to be carrying on a legacy for that. And this is pretty much the gist of these books. And then sometimes what we do, like here's the Suicidal Tendencies book that we put out. We do these flip books, right? So then there's an infectious groove story on the other side.
Oh, nice.
So when there's we did that with Rob Zombie and White Zombie. So here's the Rob Zombie and then the White Zombie.
Now with these rock biographical books, do you reach out to the actual bands at all, or?
Yeah, almost always do. They're biographical. So we don't touch any of their lyrics or anything like that. There's been a couple times where some have pushed back, but a couple times they have been like, "Oh, cool," and we always offer them books for you want some of these books for a merch table, and some have taken us up on it. Some have, Eric Peterson from Testament. We printed a couple of he had a story for a book on his own, and we published a couple of books for him on that. The guys from Exodus were pretty cool with the book, and we're working on another story that they're putting together. So generally we try to reach out. Sometimes people are like, hey, I don't like that, and we're like, okay, cool, we can't put it out.
Right.
But
I always think that's weird because it's really free marketing. I mean,
yeah, and some people see it like that.
if somebody wanted to do an autobiographical, I mean, a biographical comic on me as a publisher or my musician days, I'm like, yeah, go for it, man.
Right.
But I get it. Everybody wants their cut if you're using their name, but it is what it is. You got to do Rush. I know they're not metal, but you got to do Rush.
Well, there's another gentleman who does fan tunes. I'm blanking on his last name, how to pronounce it. His name is Dave. It's fan tunes. He has a direct line. He's Canadian. He has a direct line to Rush. So if you're into Rush, definitely check out fan tunes in those comics.
I'm a big
He does
Rush
a bunch of other bands stuff too. There's a couple of publishers that do rock comics.
Monarch is with us. They have a Black Sabbath and they have a Rush one.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So you what future solicitations can we look forward to that you're going to be putting out?
Well, we're resoliciting. I have an all ages book that's my personal book. It's Charlie and Humphrey. We're resoliciting those because I'm wrapping up work on issue 5. So as I said, I'm an artist, and so switching hats between doing the art and doing the publishing end of it, it tends to slow me down art wise. So I just thought that I would resolicit
Nice.
Through you guys to just kind of garner interest for this all ages book that we put together.
I really think all ages books are very important to the industry, and I hope that more stores invest in them, because I understand that naked women is look, who doesn't love naked women, but
Right.
but the downside to that is, if we keep putting out naked covers in stores, we are now keeping kids out of stores. It's no longer
Right.
marketing to kids, and kids are the future readers. They're the future of comics, and they're going to be what we do to grow the readership. So we have to really be careful and balance out what we're doing here, because that's why I one of my few stipulations to distribution is any nude variants have to be black bagged or blacked out, the areas, because we want kids back in stores. We want them reading. And as a parent, I certainly don't want my kid seeing Spider-Man and right next to that is a woman spread eagle. It's just, it's
like in the 90s and stuff, like that's pretty regulated. We, like in the Bay Area, we would go to all kinds of different comic book stuff or comic book stores. And I kind of like when Glenn Danzig had his like sort of adult books out, they had that separated from all the other stuff. So I feel like shop owners are on the whole responsible with that stuff. This book in particular is based on, this is a passion project with Justin Sane, the writer, and myself. We're both Bay Area natives, and this is based on a puppet show that's like 60 years old.
Oh,
it's like a ton of history with this stuff. And we reached out to the original creator, Pat McCormick, our local weatherman on Channel 2. And we got permission to do that. So we kind of dusted this off, and we're trying to, put it back out there for broader appeal. Obviously the nostalgia angle is cool, but this is perfectly, we think it's entertaining enough for anyone. You don't have to be from the Bay Area or anything, but we find too that when we describe what this is, people from different areas will go, oh, that sounds like ... where I lived. So it's one of those things. And then the other stuff that we're planning to put out is basically, we have backstock of all this other stuff. And so we're trying to, like I said, build momentum with these things, because we're not 100% sure if the shops that are buying from Philbo have been aware of us. And so because of that, we found Mel worked on this book called Dead Ahead. This is Mel Smith created this book along with Clark Castillo, and it's got artwork by Alex Dino in it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so this is an awesome book if you're a fan of
Actually has like
Alex
an
Mino.
80s vibe to the art.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
I
love it. I
mean,
love it.
it's really cool. It's a zombie story on the high seas type of thing. And then the other book that Mel put out along like when I put out Charlie and Humphrey, Mel put out this book called Becoming Frankenstein. So this book in particular is, you know how like the Frankenstein monster is comprised of different parts. Well, this is the story. This is like the backstory of the people that make up the parts.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we did a 6 issue.
Great art again too. Yeah.
Yeah, this is Frank Scirocco and Gerhard on the art. Alex Schenkman also helping with the inks.
And it just goes to show what I say, right? Independent books are not the stigma that they used to be. They're professionally done.
No, and when I came up, like Slave Labor Graphics, based out of San Jose, they were kind of the bellwether, man. You were like Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, Gloom Cookie, Samurai Penguin. There was just like a bunch of books they were putting out that were like really cool. And so I've always been an indie person myself. In collecting comics. I mean, yeah, there's like of course Spider-Man and sort of that stuff. Spawn was starting when I started collecting books. But yeah, indies are just as vibrant and cool as any other books that are on the market.
Dude, I remember in the 80s, we have AC Comics with us, FemForce, which they sell well. We had Zen the Galactic Ninja, we had the Badger, we had Nexus.
Badger,
and then
Nexus, yep.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, by the way, we have Nexus with us as well. And then in the 90s, you had, Concrete and Astro City, and great stuff like that. And She, which is with us. And then in the early 2000s, Terry Moore, you had Strangers in Paradise, which is with us now too. So there's some independent books that are like legendary status at this point. Like they're really well acclaimed. The Crow. These are all independent books. So I just would love. I look forward to us moving forward and getting rid of this stigma that is indie won't sell. Of course it will sell. You just got to let people know it's there. Back of the catalog is geography, not sales numbers to me. If you throw us in the front and put Marvel and DC in the back, I bet you the numbers start to maybe not even out, but they'll get a little, you'll see the scales tip a little closer. There are a lot of stores that do a lot to have indie displays up front with like little talking headers there, and
totally,
and they sell even more than Marvel and DC. So this isn't me desperately trying to get people to order from distribution. It's just true, and prove me wrong.
Right. The main thing too, I think the main thing that's important too is getting the younger creators because they're coming into this business using like Instagram as a model, for example, right? So they'll be able to stream their artwork and then they can monetize on their own.
Right.
Well, you could see with wider distribution how they could probably build on the success that they already have on their own. And so that requires, giving them access, helping them understand that stuff so it doesn't feel daunting, and so they can just like focus on their work. Because I'm telling you, man, there's people like at cons and we notice they're like younger than us and they have a line forming. Like this one young lady, and I can't remember her name, but she was across from us in San Diego, and they had to use like the paddles for like end of line and that stuff. Like, and they had been doing this the last couple of years, and their fan base has just grown.
I think I know who you're talking about. I forget her name. Is it Belinda or Linda or something like that? I forget. But I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So we love this medium, and we love we love comic shops as an institution, and so we want to keep them going. And so then it becomes a thing of like, how do you do that? Not just with yourself, but with everyone else. Because if you're by yourself, the whole thing could die. You want to make sure everyone has a chance to, what I mean? Like get out there and put their stuff out.
So question for you. There was a shop owner, I'm not going to name who they are, but they made a post and they basically said that if you're a small publisher and you can't come in selling over 1,000 books right off the bat, you have no business being in distribution. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, how do you start then? It becomes a thing of like, what's like chicken and egg. Like, I'll say I got lucky because I got grandfathered into this thing, but what our rock books sell just enough to pay. So it's just like we measure the success by being able to keep going, right?
Right.
So yeah, the Charlie and Humphrey stuff didn't sell gangbusters, but I was building momentum before Diamond went under. I had people who were coming to me asking, "Hey, can you help me publish?" And so we were starting to aggregate as a necessity, as a survival tool. So like, okay, this makes sense. But to be able to sell like thousands of books, like I don't know anyone that comes into any kind of endeavor and hits it out of the park. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's my point. Like it's like the whole point of distribution is that's how you grow your fan base and get out there. I
Yeah.
mean, the notion that you don't deserve to be here unless you're already here is weird. That's that's like
Yeah, it is.
saying when if I opened a comic store tomorrow, I don't know how many pull lists I'm going to have off the bat. The idea is growth. The idea is all businesses have to start somewhere and grow. And it's mentalities like that you hope to change because they're kind of an elitist mentality. And it's kind of the Western markets all want branding. They all want instant gratification. They don't want any risk at all. They want it all built in.
Right. That's a good point. They don't want risk. And I think that's also an element to like social media too. Like with actors and comedians and stuff like that, it's almost like they won't give artists or creators a shot unless they have like a certain number of followers.
Right.
Which I understand that on a business end, but it's just like, this is art.
Well, and that's the thing is, I understand not taking large risks, but I am absolutely in favor of you've got to take small risks, medium risks. Like if you were investing in the stock market, you go into mutual funds, you have high risk, medium risk, small risk, and you usually, investors usually maybe dump some money in a high risk and pull it out quick, and they'll leave something in the low risk just to trickle in some money, and they'll dabble in the middle risk most of the time. That's hedging your bets. That's playing the market properly. And I wish the entertainment industry would learn that model, because I mean, there was a time where they did. That's how The Crow became a movie. And got big. That's how Astro City grew popular. That's how Strangers in Paradise and She and all grew, because they were willing to take a shot, a small risk on an investment in these new properties, and they paid off. Obviously, not every risk is going to pay off, but what's the greatest risk? Not taking one, and this is why we're regurgitating properties in movies and stuff, and there's nothing really new. And it's conditioned the consumer, I think, to want to play it safe as well. Like you'll see the consumers complaining about these movies and, oh, another Superman, another Spider-Man, another Batman. But then the consumers aren't going out there and investing in new properties very quickly either, because I think they've been conditioned, and
well, I will say
we have to get out of that.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say too. There's a couple of publishers that have like hit a big splash, like Distillery and Ignition Press just recently. Like publishers now, like before they launch, right? They'll get venture capital behind them. They have a money person, and then they already have an installed Hollywood person. So they understand that the machine of comic books now is pipeline straight into streaming, movie, TV show, whatever, right? And and a lot of us are geared to like, I'm trying to turn my thing into a show for sure, but you also have to build the audience. You also have to get people to care about your project so that when it does hit, Netflix or whatever, they're like, oh, cool, I know this is, I love this book or whatever.
And that's where distribution comes in, that you can get an international audience, or at least a national audience, because you're kind of in an echo chamber on Kickstarter. There's so many Kickstarters, there's so many people, and on Kickstarter you tend to be getting your family, friends, and other creators that want you to support their book supporting your book, and all you're doing is swapping, because all right, they just pledged $15 on my book, but I just pledged $15 on their book, so it's a wash, you know. So
Well, that's another thing too that people don't necessarily understand. So like Greg with Studio Solaris, we also put out Yule's Vision for Jacob Stem.
right,
Those are guys that would consistently get their books funded on Kickstarter, which and they'll hit their stretch goals, they'll make over what they asked for, but they're not selling as many books through shops because people will look at that and go, well, why would I give $20 on a Kickstarter if you're just going to put it in the shop? I'll just wait until I can get it for $3. So that's where I think like the direct market model and the Kickstarter model are not necessarily meeting the way they should. And of course, Kickstarter has that thing where they have like retailer sort of functions in it. I haven't dabbled in Kickstarter that much.
You can do retailer tiers.
Yeah.
And stuff. But why would a retailer do that?
Yeah.
Right?
So then, then we're abandoning the direct market altogether and just going through Kickstarter.
Well, I had been saying this for years, and I got some pushback. They've started using crowdfunding as a distribution model for independents that couldn't get into Diamond. And I think that has hurt crowdfunding. I think it has changed it. I think the demographic that's going to Kickstarter for comics is more of a collector now than a reader. I think that Kickstarter has its algorithms just like Facebook and anything else, and they're going to promote the campaigns that are already doing well as opposed to promote the ones that need the promotion. So you're getting buried. So it's a who you know and who your friends are, and so I really think it's kind of hamster on a wheel with crowdfunding right now, and crowdfunding is lower than it's ever been. Like everybody across the board is not doing what they did with their funding,
right?
And I think crowdfunding is a great thing, but again, it's called Kickstarter because it was always meant to kickstart the project, to get the funds you need to start the project, and
but
it's
it's a whole other facet. Avenue. Yeah, that's the thing too. That's the challenge. It's a whole other facet. It's like having a whole other job. You know what I mean? Like doing the art is one job. Doing the publishing is a job. Doing the marketing is a job. Kickstarting is a job. All of that stuff takes time to do that stuff. And if you're just like a small team or whatever, that's damn near impossible. So that's
why I think the slow grind through distribution is well worth it. Look, it's a struggle, and you might lose money in the beginning. But let's look statistically. Any new business usually doesn't make a profit for the first 3 years, or or they're breaking even for the first 3 years, and they don't really see any profit until the third year.
If you're doing if you're doing a reasonable print run, it's manageable. Right. You know what I mean? Like I do a run of like 5,000 books. Like the way we print these books, we would do like a run of 5,000 books for like $1,200.
Right.
So,
well, I'd like to know where you're getting those prices.
No, it was through Diamond. It was through.
Gotcha.
And I would get into these debates with people. Our rock comics were black and white on the interior. So then our printer, Folger Graphics in Hayward, if anyone's interested, they print on a web press, which when you look at like old footage and you see the paper go through the rollers and they're printing newspapers, that's what a web press is.
Right.
What it does is it prints everything all at once. And then when it gets to the end, it chops it off and folds it and it spits out a book. It's laid out that way. So all they have to do is then take the cover, staple it, and then trim it. And so the labor cost comes down, all that stuff comes down. Right. But we're using a paper, it's called Ultra Bright. It's not quite newsprint, but you could call it newsprint.
Right.
But we feel like it kind of creates this cool nostalgia feel to like the old school comic books.
Newsprint's coming back.
It is.
A lot of people
we've been
are
saying that. Yeah, we've been saying that forever, and we would get into these debates. The quality's not that good, but it also too, like in this industry too, you get like floppies, right, or periodicals, and then you would do a trade or a graphic novel version of that. Okay, so how do you incentivize people to rebuy the same book that they've been collecting? You take the trade, you print it on better paper, so now you can get a better appreciation for the art. It justifies the whole process.
But you made a good point too, though. Is the paper they use now is not quite newsprint. It's actually a little bit above a newsprint quality,
so much better
without being the digital. So it's not that typical old newsprint.
I'll give you I'll show you a perfect example. Okay, so this is a good example.
So this is printed on what I believe is like 35-pound ultra bright, right? You can see pretty much everything on this page.
Sure, it's
pretty
clear,
well
it's bright.
defined.
Yeah.
It's
when you print on a digital press, and they're doing better with that too, by the way, the digital presses. But traditionally, the lightest pound paper is like 60 pound for a while, and then you would get these books that would have like these really puffy, sort of like at the spine. It would be puffy here, and it would just look like a balloon kind of. But they're getting better with that. But that's where we were going with it, because our costs were able to be lower. So you figure, okay, I sold through Diamond on average, we sold about 1,800 copies, and that would pay for the printing. Everything after that is profit. So we would do like a 5,000 print run, and we'd be okay. But now, right, obviously those numbers, like, we're going to have to start from scratch a little bit, use sort of our stock inventory we have already, and then just do smaller print runs for books that
and I think that's something that other people don't understand is it's not as easy as saying, oh, we're going to offset print 3,000, like, because usually offset, they have a minimum and it's like 3,000.
Yeah.
And these days you're only getting down to like $1.05 a book, whatever. So you're still spending $3,800. You're investing in 3,000 books, and you don't know what your sales are going to be because you're new, right? You don't have a sales history. Like if you're Zenoscope, they have a history. They kind of know, even if they're going through Philbo, all right, we usually do, I don't know, 4,000 on this. With Philbo, we're probably going to do like 2,000, whatever, or maybe 1,000. So they kind of have an idea of what they want to print. They also know what they do on their online sales and at their shows. So they can offset print and have that inventory. Small publishers don't have the capital to invest $3,800 a month on printing first, and second, for inventory that possibly could be sitting there. I mean, that's like the same idea of a store. You know, I've had stores say to me, "Why don't you just offset print?" They go, "Well, why don't you just order 50 copies of my book?" Because you don't want to sit there on inventory, and your money's tied up in something that's not moving.
And it's not, and that's not too terrible for us, because there's a lot of facets too. Like some of the bigger publishers, they'll charge you, like if you're a creator on a book, they'll charge you for copies of your own book. Right. And that's pretty standard. We don't do that because we're not that big. But also too, like the thing to keep in mind when you're doing offset printing, the reason why there's minimum orders is because you're paying for a set of plates. You're paying for setup fees, like sticking the plates in, everything that goes into setting.
And any variant covers is expensive on those plates. $250 to $300 now.
You could gang run variant covers, but how many covers are you doing? If you're doing more than 4, you're probably then it starts to pile up.
I found a place that I could get the price down to 70 cents a book on 500 books even, which is fantastic. Here's the problem: it's overseas. So the shipping is expensive, and their plate changes for variant covers, and I have variant covers at $300 each. So now for only 500 copies, I'm spending the money I would have on a 3,000 copy run. So it doesn't pay. You know, either way, you're getting jacked. And I'm sorry, but I feel that printers in the U.S. are gouging. And I can give you proof of it with some people.
Some of them are. I would say, like our printer, like during COVID, there was no stoppage. We did not have books sitting on a barge somewhere. They have been in business for over 60 years. They have a great relationship with their paper mills. They were able to get paper the entire time that was going on. So we didn't have any kind of stoppage with that. Prices do fluctuate because cost of paper and stuff go up. Cost of printing or shipping goes up. I've honestly tried to see if there's been a cheaper option so that I have more options. And if I'm printing floppies this way at this quantity, there's nobody I haven't seen anyone that could beat their price, because they are in the States and they do have 2 separate web presses. They're able to accommodate those kind of jobs, and the cost between 500 books and 1,000 books, it's like a couple $100. So that illustrates even further that
Sure.
the cost, what goes into that is your plates, your setup fees, the bindery, all that stuff. And so again, that's just another little tidbit of like all the different things you have to know and learn to do this.
Well, and that gets back to my point. Like if you're a retailer, I think you should need to understand what the publishers go through, and if you're a publisher, you should understand what the retailers are going through, and understand what distribution is going through. When you understand everybody's aspects and what they have to deal with and what their costs are, then you can start coming to mutual terms and mutual understanding, and you can start working together. But when you have this, well, it's only about my costs or what I'm going through, or you don't understand what somebody else is going through. A lot of people don't understand what publishers go, like how much. You're lucky if your profit margin is 10 cents a book sometimes.
Oh, of course.
Of
and
course. To have a store complain I'm only making $1.50 or $2 a book. I'm like, I killed to make $1.50, $2 a book. Are you kidding me? I'm making 10 cents or losing. So I think we just, I think things had to be restructured. I think over 30, 40 years, unfortunately, we are where we are because the system was good when things were fantastic, but it wasn't structured for when things aren't.
And you could point to, from either end, you could point to a million different issues with how Diamond did their business, which was like, come on, man, are you serious? This is the 21st century. But I think too, like everyone's very like emotionally raw from the fall of Diamond, and every little thing, it just feels like every little thing that comes out about what's going on here or there. I definitely feel that everything could settle down. Everyone can have a niche, and everyone can still operate and do business, and it's not going to be an issue. But I think everyone's still just like very like tense from the fact that.
But we have to learn from what happened with Diamond.
Yes,
and I don't think a lot of people are yet. Like I think they're still in denial, by the way, and they're not learning. And these publishers got royally screwed, and they lost thousands of dollars.
Dude, I still owe money.
I know, thousands of dollars and thousands of books.
Yeah.
And that doesn't help the retailers either, because how many retailers were supposed to get books that they never did because Diamond still had them, and now they're selling them in a fire sale. And now, so even though they had a net 60, the stores didn't put out any money. They didn't lose money out of pocket, but they did lose money out of profit. So the retailers suffered from it too. The publishers suffered the most from it, and I think we have to take a good solid look, and we have to learn from it. Lunar is offering a prepay option now.
Well, that's cool. No, I didn't know that.
And a lot of stores are good with it. They want to be on the prepay option. I don't know if Lunar is going to go all the way to prepay like I do. That'll probably be difficult because they have such large orders, like you're talking $10,000 orders. But I know that they would like to. You know how much it would cut their overhead on invoicing and things like that later, and keeping track.
It's like anything else. Yeah, like we don't like. Yeah, I had a net 30 with Folger when I was printing 5,000 books a run. Sure, like I had that whole thing dialed in, but the fact that because of that, that's why I still owe my printer thousands of dollars on books that I sold through Diamond at the end of last year. So,
just for people who don't know, when he says a net 30, it means that they give you 30 days to pay later. Like stores often through Diamond were getting a net 30 or net 60, even a net 60. So that means you send them the product, and then they get invoiced 2 months later for the product that they received. So when they say net 60, net 30, they're giving you that much time to pay after getting the product. That's what that means.
And so for much smaller runs, like if I'm using like Mixum or Print Ninja, I have to pay for that up front.
Right.
Which I don't blame anyone. That's just how that works.
That's retail.
Right.
Yeah, you got to protect yourself.
It's just interesting to see all these little things trickle in, and I just take it all in and just learn from all of it, because some of it is a bummer, and some of it does kind of like, oh man, that sucks that person thinks that.
Look what Net 60 did with Diamond, right? Take for example, not only did Diamond go under for many reasons, but one of the reasons was millions in unpaid invoices. Now, what happens with those unpaid invoices? That's not just Diamond losing money. That's Dynamite, Zenoscope. Those publishers never got paid
Look
out.
and,
Those
and
books.
look at how quickly they were like, oh, cool. Well, we'll just sell this inventory that's sitting in the warehouse. And
Which they
somebody,
don't
whoa,
own.
yeah, that's not yours. Like, oh, it's not. You know what I
Dynamite
mean?
lost
Yeah,
millions of dollars
totally. Yeah, yeah.
because of the net 60. So look, I understand why they did the net 60, but I don't think it's a safe business model. And I don't think, and to be honest with you, it's the only industry that does that in retail.
At least not now. Not now. There's nobody can trust anyone.
No. And like a little guy like me, if you think about it, right? Imagine I did a net 60 and you're a retailer and you got your $10,000
Oh,
Lunar,
you'd
your
be done.
$10,000 Penguin, and you've got your $300 or $400 order through me. Your kid needs braces this week. It was a rough month at the store. Who's getting pushed to the side?
Oh,
here?
yeah, of course.
We're not the bread and butter. We're not Marvel and DC. So, they're going to say, oh, I'll pay you and I'll owe you and I'll owe you. Well, you guys can't sit there and wait 4 months to get paid. I can't, so it just doesn't make sense for me to do a net 60. And I appreciate the stores that understand that and they're fine with it. It also keeps everybody's costs down. Think about it. I charge a lower percentage to you because I'm keeping my costs down. I do the 1 monthly shipment. We don't do weekly FOC because it doesn't make sense to, right? Like Marvel in itself has 70 titles? What do we have? 70 titles total in the catalog? So it doesn't make sense for me to have a store pay shipping on weekly orders of 5 to 10 to 20 books. That's just money out the window. And I can't eat the shipping on all that. That
just proves Diamond was making FU money because they've got collectibles, toys. Like if you're bringing in that much money with X amount of employees and you don't have to worry about bill collecting, you're fine. But you're not crunching your books. You're not having to look at your ledger every minute of every day and go, okay, where am I at? Am I going to be able to do this?
That was fine when they had Marvel and DC and Image and Dark Horse. When they lost all those guys, they were still bigger than me because they still had the reputation. They still had Dynamite. They still had bigger publishers, right? And they went under with that business model because they no longer had the volume that they did with the big publishers.
I thought I had to stay with them. I was like, shit, I'm going to have to ride it out. I was watching like Distillery. It was like, we're going to ride it out. And there was a couple others that were like, we're going to have to stay. And I'm like, where else am I going to go?
I was telling
them,
and they weren't listening.
Yeah. Like, and I reached out to, it was interesting because I reached out to Massive Indies. I reached out to Universal. And it was funny because Universal told me, I found this out afterwards. Universal told me to hit up Massive Indies. So I was like, oh, that's weird. So Massive Indies is going to be doing for you what they do for Lunar? Yes. Okay. So we waited for Massive Indies.
Oh, I didn't know that. Massive Indies worked for Universal too?
No, that was a lie. That's just what the guy at Universal told me because obviously they're making their own plans, which whatever. It doesn't matter to me. It's just an interesting little tidbit as you're trying to navigate your way through all this stuff. And, it is what it is. And I think, I thank you for like you essentially did what I was thinking of doing because once Diamond started to go under, I did have a couple people who were buying little chunks of the rock books from my website. And they said, are you going to have like a subscription service or a wholesaler part of your page? And I started to look into it and it would have cost me like a couple $100 to upgrade my site. And I'm like, well, I guess this is the way I'm going to have to do it. But then you would also see shops like, no, we can't do that. Like, and I respect the fact that
they don't want to have to go through 50 different publishers. It's too much to keep track of. The shipping is too much.
It's the aggregate. That's the thing where we can cooperate the most. Right. And so I think like Philbo, and I don't know much about any of the other outfits that are going on because I haven't been let in. But from what I could look at, it's an opportunity for us to look at each other and go, okay, here's where we need to, like you're talking about putting together a catalog. Okay. So everyone's brainstorming. They're throwing in ideas. How do we help each other? Right. Because we're all trying to get the same goal, which is to get a consistent stream of sales going so we can keep making books. Right. Because that's, like I said, that's the measure of success I have is to be able to keep going. We're not going to get rich off this, but if everyone can get a little piece
and sustain.
And
Right.
this is art. This is expression. This is how you nourish your soul or whatever. You know what I mean? It's not always about money. It's about expressing yourself and putting your voice and your story out there. And that's part of it too. And I can understand a shop's perspective, and I respect a shop's perspective because it helps me figure out,
Sure.
okay, how do I do what I need to do in order to get my book on the shelf? And there's a couple of shops that I talk to like on a personal level, and I'll ask them questions and they'll tell me stuff, and I'm like, okay, I don't have to agree with it. That's their business. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't have a brick and mortar store. I don't know what it takes to keep that thing open or to
Right.
pay employees. I do know, okay, if I hire an artist, I have to pay that person and project manage that stuff, and then I got to pay another person.
Yeah, I
to
don't
do...
think they understand how much it costs just to make a book.
Yeah, no, it's
like $4,000 minimum.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know, I totally understand they have overhead to insurance and electricity and everything, but we have overhead as well, you know, and our profit margin is nowhere near what theirs is. And what always baffles me is if you go into any given comic store, you'll see board games collecting dust on the overstock shelf. That you know that even at a 50 or 60% discount, they spent $40 or $50 on that game. You'll see statues from Sideshow or Kotobukiya or whatever, and collecting dust, and the same in the case. You'll see the same display of maquettes and busts and whatever collecting dust, and you know that they invested, even with a 50%, 60% discount, they invested $10, $20, $30, $50, $60 in those things, but they won't invest in a $3 indie book. And that's your demographic. That's what you're selling to people is books, you know? So I always found that to be interesting. The mentality of you don't want a variety of books, but you want a variety of product that's just sitting there, and your income is, your money is tied up into, your capital is tied up into those items just sitting on your shelf. And if a store says to me, you have to understand, blah, 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 I'm like, look, you can't tie in the expense of my book into every product you have in your store. You can't do that. That's not logical. Doesn't make any sense. And
I would say that's a semi-emotional response because of all the turmoil going on. Because when times are good, I mean, you've seen shops with a ton of indie stuff in there. When times are good, it's easy. But when you're dealing with all this crap that nobody wants to deal with, then
again, you also got to put in the effort into marketing what you have in your store.
Right.
I mean, you know, you have to let people know it's there. You know, you can't. I think a lot of people just say, well, Marvel and DC sell themselves, so no problem. Yeah, but maybe your Marvel and DC sales would go up if you started pushing them more, or independent books or middle of the road books. You know, like, I mean, Something Is Killing the Children didn't blow up until issue 20 something.
We participated in about 3 free comic book day events, which is very stressful because you're dealing with, like, usually we do like a 2,000 copy order. That's like a 40,000+ copy order, right? And so you're breaking even on that stuff. But all the stuff they throw at you for the stores, like shelf talkers and posters, it's like, again, it's a whole other job. Now you have to think about, okay, and this, you're asking the shops questions like, what kind of stuff do you need? Like, what kind of stuff can I make to send you? And then, you know, sometimes I'll get an answer and I'm like, okay, I'll get to that. That's a good idea. I'll get to that, you know, and sometimes Mel, my buddy, will be like, we need to do mailers. And all I could think about is like, yeah, it costs money to mail that. Like, it costs money to print it, and it costs money for postage.
And for retailers don't want, and they don't need to get all these solicitations from all these guys. I mean, how many posters can they put up in their windows?
Oh,
and
of course.
how many, you know, so that's tough on the shops to be able to do that.
But my poster's really cool, Phil.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, so it's, what the hell is that? So I don't want this. There's a misnomer. Our best friend, we won't name, you know, they try to make it sound like I'm against retailers. Of course not. I love retailers. I'm a comic fan. I love comic stores. I appreciate them all. I just don't think some of them see any perspective other than their own, and I think they need to. You know, I don't take it personally. My terms personally. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to survive, and I'll help the publishers, and I think my terms are fair across the board.
Right, and there's nothing that says you can't change those terms once you've built momentum and
And that's the thing. I
Yeah.
literally just came out of the gate. I'm not a venture capitalist. I'm a small mom and pop distributor playing against the big guys. And if you're telling me you're not going to order a lot, like, we would offer a 50% discount if you order 10 of any issue, specific title or more. And they're like, I'm not going to buy 10 of any title. Well, then I don't know what to tell you. I can't give you 50% if you're buying 2 from this guy, 8 from this guy, and 3, because that guy who's only getting 2 issues sold at 50%, he just lost 20 cents on his print run. He lost money. That's why I can't do that. I mean,
and it comes down, honestly, my opinion, it comes down to the art. It comes down to the product, whatever you're putting out. Like, because if you make, like you made a comment before, like the next someone's killing the children, and you put your passion, like we're all putting our passion into this, and we're all starting to learn how to work together in the shadow of all this stuff. I think you put out the best book you possibly can.
Yep.
And you're doing your best to market to shops, to market to everybody. Eventually it's just going to be like, well, I'm going to order from Philbo and see where it goes. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean,
it has to be that way.
Catalog actually did very well considering, and we'll see where we go from here. Build some, we're going to have our dips and valleys. We're going to have our ups and downs, and not
you'd have to go out of your way to do a shitty job in order for it to tank that low after your first, you know what I mean?
Well, especially when you got guys saying I give them 6 months. Remember that?
I did see that.
Yeah,
where was the clock set on that? What
yeah,
month
January.
Okay.
I'll be 6 months in a day just to spite the son of a bitch.
You're like, I'm really screwed. I had to sell my house, but I'm gonna wait to make the announcement.
24 hours, exactly.
Right?
No, but and that's the thing is that someone who doesn't stand. My business structure is structured to where I may not be making a lot of money, but I'm not going to be losing money, so I can sustain and continue to provide an outlet for you guys.
But you essentially did what I was planning to do, Phil, and I said this to you, I think, but I want to say it now. You did what I was intending to do, but then you did it for everyone else. Like, we all could do, like, if we have a website and we have Squarespace or whatever that allows to create that sort of wholesale page for retailers to go in, log in, and buy wholesale, we could do that. But what you're doing is attempting to aggregate. You're attempting to clump to create a one-stop shop for X amount of publishers so that it makes it easier for retailers. And yeah, the terms are not as sweet as they were under Diamond, but that could change. That could change.
But let's also look realistically. They were sweet under Diamond for who?
Right.
For
exactly.
who? And the evidence is for who? Because publishers are broke, and some are almost out of business, and Diamond's out of business. But the retailers are not. I mean, they're struggling. Don't get me wrong. And some are, so I pray for them to keep going. But this fiasco has hit publishers and Diamond hardest than anybody. So, yeah, they had a sweet deal through Diamond.
We should be blaming Diamond.
Yeah, and I am, and that's my point. But for vitriol to come my way, I'm the little guy just trying to fill a void and help out. And the comparison of me, I don't know if I should be I don't know if I should take it as a compliment, because they keep comparing me to Lunar. I am nowhere near on Lunar's level, nowhere. But maybe that's a compliment that they see me as being something to compare to. I don't know. I know that Bleeding Cool putting me up there with the others, and the article was very helpful. And like you said, terms can change. I absolutely want to get to a point where the numbers are getting there, where we can give them 50% off the bat. Of course, I want to do that for them.
But you got to crawl before you run, like,
right?
You can't,
but they also have to invest in us for that to happen. I mean, wholesale is real simple. No matter where you go, no matter what country, no matter what industry, wholesale is based on volume. You will get a cheaper price the more you buy. That's it. Right. And I'm following that model. That's just wholesale. That's just reality. Now the prepay, if I was getting $10,000 orders, I understand you not wanting to prepay that. but they're $300 orders. If your store can't handle a $300 prepay order, I mean, you go to Amazon, you buy one item, it's probably $150 freaking dollars.
You're the Schooner Tuner ad, right? Like it's like we're all like dealing with these hard hit times, and we got to deal with this like momentary pricing. But when things get better, we'll go back to our original price. You know what I mean? Like it's.
But you want to know the truth? Maybe we don't go back to the original. Maybe I always stay prepaid, but we give them a great discount and we make it worth it. Or maybe I can eat the shipping. I don't know, but
it's evolution though. Like it has.
But I'm literally just. I mean, I haven't even delivered a book yet,
right?
And I'm already getting judged and criticized and attacked. It's like let me just get one book out.
Yeah, that's their issue, not yours. Like you're focused on.
No, but the problem is those people are influencing other people, and that's the issue. It's like, you saw some of those comments by some of the retailers.
I've seen. Yeah.
It's like, and I just don't need bad. I mean, maybe bad press is just as good as good press, and you should just be happy that you
could look at it like that too. Yeah.
Because if they're not, they only talk about people that they either see as a threat or as a success. So I guess I just, I'm just a little guy trying to do the best I can. And it gets frustrating that people are much more inclined to want to tear you down and destroy you, because they're not really just coming after me. They're coming after all of you. Because if I go down, what is your option? Because
my option is to spend an extra couple $100 a month and set up a wholesale. I mean, what else can I do?
But that's my point. What's your other distribution option? Because Luna's not picking you up.
Right.
No disrespect to Massive, but to spend that money just to list your book is very difficult for a small publisher. It's very difficult.
I mean, some are going to be able to do that. Like I said, like they've got like an investor or money, and I don't. Yeah, like that stuff. I think because I've been doing this a while, and because we were like what we were doing before Diamond went under, my understanding of everything is like okay. Like at first it was upsetting. Like we were all just like a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. But once things started to calm down, and I understood like the fact that you were an option, I'm able to like, all right, cool. Let's just like see what happens, right? Like you could just like breathe through it. If I would say if I didn't have if you weren't an option at this time, I probably would have been a lot more anxious. Right. So let's say for the sake of argument, something happens to Philbo and I don't have another option. I'm probably going to be able to breathe through that a little bit better and a little bit more clear-headed. Like, okay, I'm not by myself. I understand what this is, why this is.
Right.
Everyone has their own style. But for me, like this has to be, I have to have a good time doing this. If this becomes a dredge or a job, I mean, we're spending time away from our families to go to these cons, to do this work. Like, that's not nothing.
Right.
Because some of us are older. We're still chasing a dream going into our 50s. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, we have to be, we got to be responsible and take care of ourselves and not like get into these beefs and stuff like that. I have to see positive in all this other stuff, right? Like, Z2, for example. Z2 is a perfect example. When they started doing rock books and you'd read up on them and you're like, huh. And your instinct is like, well, that sucks. Now I got competition. But I see it differently now. They're doing a whole different thing. Yeah, they're rock books, but it's like the way they put out their books, that's like a box of See's candy. I look at our stuff as like a handful of jelly beans. Everyone can find a niche. There's a spot for everyone. Everyone's doing their own thing. And all you can do is like, I like what that dude's doing. I like what that dude's doing. Yeah,
but variety and choice is a healthy thing. Yeah. Like, I don't see Massive as my competition. They're another outlet, and I believe in a free market, and I think the more distributors, the better. I think it's good. I don't see them as a threat. I don't see them as my competition. I wish them well. I do not wish them ill. You will not see me bash them or badmouth them. I won't be sending spies their way. I won't be doing any of those things. I won't be doing those things because they're not an enemy. They're not a competition. Look, if I believe in what I'm doing, what you're doing doesn't matter.
Right.
It's like you said, you put out a good book, you put out a good product, you put out a good service, it'll sell itself, it'll do its thing, and it'll run its course. And if it wasn't meant to be, if it wasn't good enough, the free market will tell you, and that's it. And I agree with that. I think it's great that Massive is doing this. I think it's great that Lunar is able to pick up a lot of the slack now that Diamond is gone. I think having a monopoly was detrimental to our industry. I think it hurt us. I think it's great that we have choices. Now, I don't know where the choices are going to go because I can speculate on things about Universal and Ad Pop, but that would be hearsay at this point, so I won't. But, you know, sometimes shit has to fall apart for people to realize it needed to be fixed to begin with.
Yeah.
And Diamond going down is a bad thing in a lot of ways. And I don't root for any business to fail. I don't. Even people I feel aren't good people, you'll never see me root for their failure. I root for their enlightenment to be better people, but I sure as hell don't root for their failure.
Right.
I'm just not built that way. I may not want you to break bread at my table, but I still want you to eat.
Right. Right.
So Diamond falling apart, though, the good thing from it is that it made people see that the industry was going the wrong way and things weren't working right and it was imploding and it needed to readjust. And look, that's the cycle of life, whether it's an ecosystem or an industry of business or a home, a family. You know, it's an ever-changing thing. It's an ever-revolving door. It's always about evolution and moving forward and adapting. It's like you said, you'll find a way to adapt if the next shoe drops. You'll find a way. You know, you swim or you die. You swim or you drown. That's it. And that's it. And I saw what was going on 2 years ago. And I started putting this into place a year and a half ago. And I knew they were announcing their bankruptcy when they did. And that's why I announced Philbo literally 2 weeks before they announced their bankruptcy.
Where did you hear, like you found out before they were going to file that was going to happen?
I'm a nobody who knows a lot of somebody's in the industry.
Gotcha.
And I saw the things that made me question. And then I started asking the right people. And the right people who they didn't have the definitive answer, but they were saying, this is what I'm hearing. This is what I know. This is what's going on with Jeppy.
You didn't hear that from me.
Yeah. and I knew in the first quarter of 2025, they were announcing the bankruptcy. I actually didn't know it was going to be as soon as 2 weeks into the year.
Right.
But I knew it was coming. So I announced in late December, Philbo, because I knew it was coming. A lot of people said, oh, well, they filed bankruptcy. They're still in business. I was like, no, they're done. These guys are done. Nobody believed me because I'm a nobody, and I get it. You know, who am I that you would take my word for it? So I understand that. I'm not offended by that. But nobody believed me. I said they're going under. I told people to yank their inventory. People didn't believe me. They said, no, we're going to ride it out. They filed bankruptcy. They can recover from this, blah, blah, blah. And all I kept thinking is, yeah, the way to recover is your consignment inventory. They have your inventory, and you can ask for it back all you want. If they're not giving it, they're not giving it. You know what I'm saying? And when Chase got involved, it's Chase. I mean,
of course.
Diamond knew Chase was going to do this. It's not like they didn't know.
And I love the soap opera, and I love the soap opera that it plays out too. Like, because I look at Bleeding Cool like a hawk. And you see all this stuff come through, and you're just like, "Cool, can I get my money? Like, can you just give me the?"
Do you know how many retailers?
The pissant amount.
Do you know how many retailers have reached out to me going, "Hey, it's great that you got Zenoscope, you know, with Grim Fairy Tales 100 and everything, but do you know what happened with 98 and 99 that we were supposed to get back in May?" And I go,
"You where it is?"
Yeah, and I go, "I'm sorry, but I'm not involved in distributing those books. You're gonna have to talk to Zenoscope because I think that's tied up in Diamond. Right. They have the inventory. That's a Diamond thing, so you'd have to reach out to Zenoscope. Zenoscope doesn't have an inventory.
You're right.
So the stores didn't get it. The model failed, and there's no denying that. So I'm trying a different model. One, because of the scope of my business. And two, because of the history of what happened at Diamond.
Right.
Like you said, I'm all for evolution and change when it makes sense and when I can do it. But for me to do certain actions right now to appease some retailers would mean my going under right away.
There's a phrase that I heard a number of years ago, and I use it all the time. It's better to be sold and not told, right? Like you're just gonna have to like your ability to do what you set out to do is ultimately gonna be the definitive word or the definitive
performance,
statement.
right?
Yeah, that's
Deliver.
that's just what it's gonna come down to. Because you could tell everyone all this stuff, and they know numbers, they know all this other stuff, and it's all valid. But at the end of the day, like passion and force of will is gonna tell the story as to whether or not this is going to work, if it could work for shops, for publishers. And I think I mentioned this to somebody, like we talked about the market. If it's not good and if it's not going to work, then the market is going to show you the door before anyone else is going to.
And that's the only one who should show you the door. Diamond gate kept a lot of people in the industry gatekeep. The market is the only one who should tell you who has a right to be in the ring.
Dude, that's we thought we thought we were like doing so good too, because we were getting encouraged. Oh, you should put out more books. I'm like, we should put out more books. Hey, let's put out this other book. We put like 3 books out at a time, like at the end of 24, and then the shit happened. And the more I'm reading, I'm like, those sons of bitches told me to put out more books when they knew they were going to go and file bankruptcy. So, lesson learned on my part, but at the same time, what are you going to do? Like, you know what I mean? I can't get my money back. I can't, like, what am I going to do?
You just got to move forward and find a way to keep going. Yeah.
I got plenty of books to sell, plenty more stuff, plenty more ideas to do more stuff.
And what did I tell you when you onboarded? The same thing I tell everybody. I promise you nothing other than 1,000% effort and 100% delivery and performance of everything, right? What I tell you I'm going to do, I'm going to do. The only thing I can't promise you is what your sales are going to be and how many stores are going to sign up. Because
the rest, that's another good point too. We talked about that. Like that's like, and I've had that situation too, where yes, I'm paying you for I'm coming to you for a service, right? You're taking your percentage and you're doing your work. The rest is up to me. I have to make the book. I have to tell people about the book. Right. I have to go and do A, B, and C.
But yeah, here I am every week marketing. I'm talking about making that preview catalog. That's all you can do, guys.
Yeah.
I market more than any other distributor. They don't do it. I mean, I'm doing a lot more for a very small percentage because I care.
Right.
I'm one of you. I'm a publisher. I'm one of you. And I have friends that are retailers. So even though I don't own a store, I sympathize and understand their side of things too. I really do. What I don't sympathize with is a one-sided narrative, people that see it only from their perspective and aren't willing to at least understand why my terms are what they are.
Right.
It's like, let's not take things personally, guys. We're all just trying to survive here. That's all. I mean, like, you didn't take it personally when Diamond screwed you over. Because
I did for about 10 minutes, but
yeah, but to them, they weren't like, oh, I can't wait to get 10-ton press.
Right.
They were just doing what they had to do to recover or survive or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I want everybody to succeed, including myself.
But we still have to, at the end of the day, we still have to love what we're doing. We can't get to a place where it's like, sucks. That sucks.
And it's funny because I have a signing with Wills Protasio, who's a legend in the industry, and Alex Sinclair, who's a legend, and Chris Sotomayor and Chris Young-Sung Lee on October 15th for my book Tragedy, right? And growing up, I loved comics. If you told me I'd be working with a founding father of Image, guy worked on X Factor, created Wetworks, created Bishop, worked on X-Men, and the colorist for Jim Lee and Ivan Reis and on Superman and stuff. And Chris Sotomayor has colored practically every book you can think of. If you told me I was going to be not only have my book in stores internationally, but I was going to be doing store signings with these names, I'd laugh at you like, get the hell out of here.
Right.
But I'm so busy with distribution that I haven't allowed myself to go, holy shit, this is going to be freaking awesome. No matter how many books I sell, the fanboy in me is like, I'm going to be sitting with these guys, signing my book, selling them to people, and getting my stories out there with the help of huge names in the industry. I should be like a kid in a candy shop right now, but I got my hat on.
Right.
I got a business to run. I got my hat on. So maybe I'll feel that excitement at New York Comic Con. But yes, I love this. And I switch the hats. I'm the fanboy and I'm the businessman. But when I'm the businessman, I'm the businessman.
Right.
I can't be the fanboy when I'm the businessman. I can't. Just like any retailer. Most retailers are probably guys who loved comics. They hated their 9 to 5. They're like, screw it, let me open up a shop and make a living out of this because it's something I love. But they know at the end of the day, when you're cracking those books open and you got to write those checks and you got to balance that book, that's not fanboy time.
Right.
It's not fanboy time.
And there's like, I wanted to bring this up too, because we did a show. We did a con. It was a 1-day con out in Alameda. This was last month.
That's what they said, Alameda.
Yeah.
Sorry, Star Trek reference.
Is Cape and Cal. They're out in Oakland.
I know that. I think they signed up with us.
Yeah. Oh, did they?
I think so.
That's great. They started a con, their own con. So this was the 3rd year, and we got to do this show. Now, when I was first starting, we had Alternative Press Expo, APE, which was out in San Francisco. Well, started in San Jose through Dan Vado at SLG, and then he sold it to Comic-Con, I believe, and they ran it out of San Francisco for a long time. That was your Alternative Press Expo. That's where your indies. That's where a lot of up-and-comers would get their start. And Cape and Cal, like those guys, like you mentioned, they're looking at the bottom line, but they're putting so much extra effort into developing a con. They're doing all of this stuff to kind of reinvigorate the business of selling comics in such a way that it's noticeable. Like you feel it in your gut. You're like, man, that was like a spiritual experience going to doing that show. You didn't even care about how much money you made or what you sold.
Right.
But the vibe of it was what we were like excited about. Like there's another line I like, which is from Ratatouille, where it's like, food always comes to people who love to cook. And we all love to cook, and all of that stuff will come in time with persistence or whatever, but it's there in varying degrees. Sometimes you're like up really big, and sometimes you only make a little bit.
Right.
But it's the business of like making sure those highs can carry you through to the next high. Because you're going to have some low points where like, man, I really feel like shit.
Right.
My work sucks. This book sucks. Not doing well. There's tons of ideas that I come up with, like for T-shirts and stuff. And I'm like, well, it's going to really blow their minds at WonderCon. And then I don't sell any for like the next year and a half. And then I'll get a run of people who are like, oh, I know that reference. And so that's just how it is. You know what I mean? And so you should I don't want anyone to like disparage or, despair and not keep going and not doing this, because it is worth it at any stage. No matter what you're able to do, there's plenty of people on the floor that don't have broad distribution that are perfectly happy doing what they're doing. It would be great if everyone had this opportunity, because you could just see it only benefiting the entire industry, the entire medium. And so that's predominantly where you level up every time you ascend another level and learn something new, and you're able to do more.
I agree. We could talk forever on this. You and I have had long conversations.
Yeah.
And I appreciate them. And Charles said he's learned a lot. I just want to real quick, before we go, I want to remind everybody, live in the Philbo catalog right now, we have 10 Ton Press Savage, gladiatorial action comic book. It's 50 pages and it's rated teen. It is live and ready to order. Tell your comic store you want it. They will order it with confidence if they know you want it in their pull list. And Detonation Boulevard, if you like steampunk and cyberistic future, this is a book for you. It's also, there's 108 pages, and it's teen plus. That you can order now. And then in our other catalog, we always have 2 catalogs live at the same time that overlap. Anybody who needs a kind of an explanation, I do have a spreadsheet to show you what the dates are. But anyway,
really quick on that first one, do you have 2 other books in there?
Oops.
For August? I'm just curious.
Oh, shoot. Oh, my God. That's right. I'm sorry.
Just want to make sure.
Let's go this quick. So Rock and Roll Biographies concert. Tell us.
Okay, so this is a take. This is our take on the trade paperback. So we took three. I took three issues of our rock comics, and I put them in a trade as to like who would logically do a concert together. So this is it's a concert series, right?
Cool.
So it's three bands. Yeah, so it's Mastodon, Faith No More, and Slayer in this particular book. We have more what we're planning. So that's how we're doing a trade paperback, and then
I resolicited this all ages book, Charlie and Humphrey. That's also in the August catalog. I think I put
issue 2 in the October one. So we're rolling those
here's
out.
Issue 1.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm sorry. Jeez.
No, that's fine. I was like, I hope that's in there. I know I put it in there.
So you have 4 books in here, yeah. And then in the September catalog, you have the Rock and Roll Iron Maiden and the Slayer.
And those are the first 2 books that we colorize the interior pages of.
Yeah, and they look great. The colors look great.
Yeah.
They complement the art very well.
Yeah. Great team on those.
I want to remind retailers, catalogs that have hit their FOC and past their FOC are now reorder. So you can reorder them and mix them with any other orders that you would like. But the catalogs that are live, we have the August and the September right now. Please order separately in them because they both release in separate months. August releases in November, September releases in December. So if you have orders from the August catalog, order there. Do not mix them with the September catalog. But you can mix the August or the September with any reorders that we have. So very cool. John, man, I'm glad I got to meet you.
Phil,
I'm glad
thank
we talked.
You. Yeah.
I appreciate you. I knew you guys through the rock and roll books. That's how I knew who you were at 10 Ton Press. I saw you in stores with the rock and roll books. So that's why you were like,
that's
you
cool.
know us? I'm like, yeah, I knew you.
Yeah, I was like,
oh,
cool.
Yeah, when you reached out, I was like, oh, cool. It's good to see a solid publisher.
Yeah, Vic told us to reach out to you too. So shout out to Vic for
Moya. Oh yeah, he mentioned Philbo. Gorilla Comics too, and they signed up. So thanks to Vic. Yeah, Vic's a good guy. He's gonna be doing a cover for me for Arcane Syndicate too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But real quick, where can they find you? 10 Ton Press.
Oh, 10tonpress.com. The number 10, and then tonpress.com. So we got all that stuff online. We sell individuals too. Like, obviously we're putting them through wholesale through Philbo, but we have individual copies of everything that's available on the website, along with T-shirts and hats and pins and other art that we put up there. I have a George Carlin print up there, and then the Oakland A's moved out of Oakland, so I made a little print kind of helping A's fans grieve that process. But all kinds of stuff on there that you could find. And if you want to reach out to us and ask us questions or whatever, that's certainly there for that purpose as well.
Cool, man. We've been at this an hour and a half, and it's supposed to be like a 45-minute show. So
is it really?
That's how much we were getting into it. No, we were having fun getting into it. I appreciate you, man, and I look forward to working with you. And
thank you, Phil.
We'll just keep grinding and support indie, everybody.
Right on. Yeah, thank you.
John Hageman, 10 Ton Press. Talk to you later.
All right.
Okay, everybody. That was Philviews. Next week, we have Thomas Dougherty of Committed Comics. And I think after that is Terry Moore with his Abstract Studios. Terry Moore, most famous for his Strangers in Paradise. He had done some stuff for Marvel, Spider-Man, stuff like that. But Strangers in Paradise is his baby, and the other stuff, Echo and some other books. So, which are all live in our catalog right now. So we'll be talking to Terry Moore as well. Anyway, doing what we can, grinding away, support indie. It's not your grandfather's indie anymore. It's new. It's professional. It matches up with anything that's out there right now, and we dare you to prove us wrong. Anyway, I also want to remind you, Tragedy is available in the catalogs as well. Tragedy number 4 is about to be solicited in the October catalog. Tragedy number 1, we have that signing with Wills Portacio, Alex Sinclair, Chris Sotomayor, Chris Hyung-Sung Lee at Fourth World Comics and All-Star Comics, October 15th, the day it launches. For the retailers that have signed up with us, your books will be going out next week. You will have them in the beginning of October for the October 15th release. They will be there early so that you have them ready to go. And we will provide tracking with every order for every store so you can keep track of where your books are. We appreciate you. We appreciate your business. We appreciate working with you and the faith you've put into Philbo. We're not going to let you down. I promise you that. Okay. Having said that, looking forward to the future, and we're gonna make history, guys. We're gonna do it. All right. I'm gonna leave you with what I always leave you with: be legendary and have fun storming the castle.